Hello and welcome to the Weight Free Wellness Podcast. I'm Tara Bachland, the hostess and creator of the Weight Free Wellness Podcast and also the author of You-niversal Self-care, Improved Health Through Self-Understanding. Today we're talking about body typing. I know I've hinted at it in several of the other podcasts, but I haven't really dived in yet. And so today we're going to do that. This is episode number 41. And I'm just going to start out with a little bit of history. Body typing is really fascinating. I don't know where that accent came from a moment ago. But I think when a lot of us are looking up body typing, doing a search online, many of us are looking for, body typing for clothing and what kind of styles will work for us. But body typing actually is a very ancient concept if you take it into another realm. So body typing and body types have existed for thousands of years. And traditionally, this ancient art was used to identify patterns. Just like, when you're doing body typing for finding out which style of clothing may fit you better or which styles or different cuts of clothing. Again, we're looking at patterns. And in the ancient world, they didn't necessarily call it body typing. Each realm, each ancient study had its own way of identifying and naming these body types. But overall, observing common and uncommon patterns, practitioners, because I use this in the health and wellness realm, could identify which ailments and even the diseases that a person was more prone to and which of the many remedies would be best suited for this particular type of person. And body typing can be used for many things, but on this site and in my book, You-niversal Self-care, Improved Health Through Self-Understanding, I focus on body typing for health and in relationships. And you'll hear a lot more, in previous podcasts and this one in the future. I touch on it in many different ways, but I thought it was time to really get into what is body typing really. So how body typing helps. I discovered body typing for myself over a decade ago. And at this time, I was still forcing my body to make changes that I thought were necessary for my healing path. I thought that to heal, there was a predetermined way to heal. You'd do this, your body would heal in this way, and then it would release that. I thought it was a really determinable path. In some ways it is, in a lot of ways it is not also. Not to discourage you in any ways, but working with the right practitioners, you can certainly have a more easeful healing path. So learning about body typing helped me to understand what I needed to work with my body, not to work on it. And that's something I think is really important. We are all unique, but we can identify patterns to help understand our situations. To me, body typing is a tool that helps me get out of myself. And what I mean is that it helps me to get out of my head and into a more wise way of thinking. And the way I like to illustrate this is recall a time when you have had a serious life problem and you went to a very good friend or someone you trust for advice. This person listens to what you have to say, sharing your story, and then begins to share a new perspective on how to look at your situation. This is simple change of perspective. Getting outside of yourself opens up a whole new world of solutions that you never saw. Body typing is a tool to help us gain perspective. This is how I use and teach body typing. It's to help you, I say it's to get you in that third person perspective. So sitting down with your friend or that trusted person, by them relaying the situation or their insights from their perspective, as they're the third person. And it's really hard to do that typically for ourselves. But using a tool like body typing, we can begin to take ourselves out of our situation into the third person perspective so we can then gain insights. And I'll tell you, I'm absolutely fascinated by ancient studies of body typing, metaphor, and archetype, but I still found that these ancient ways of thinking were really challenging to grasp. So as I was reading these books about these ancient ways, often from the Eastern philosophies, it was challenging not having grown up with these thought processes. So I strive to make it simpler for us with the Western mind. And so that's why I use the 4 elements: earth, fire, air, and water. I think that we can all relate to these elements, and while we may have slightly varying experiences about how we interpret these elements, for the most part we can agree on what they mean. In other words, I wanted to simplify things, and if you've listened to a number of my other podcasts, you know that I really appreciate simplicity. I think is very important, and you'll understand also in this next section why I saw the need for simplifying. So, brief history on body typing. This is very brief. We're just skimming the surface. So, if you actually happen to know more about these, you'll hear that this is just skimming the surface. But this gives a nice overview of what I think is fascinating is that these concepts really exist around the world. And I'm only hitting on 4. I know that there are others in the world and ancient cultures that exist, but here are just 4 of them, which I think are really fascinating. Again, these practices, these philosophies don't call it body typing. That's more of a Western or in my term, but that's just a way to create a link between all these. So first of all, we have traditional Chinese medicine, which has existed for over 2,000 years. Traditional Chinese medicine, or it's also known as TCM, treats people with herbs, acupuncture, massage, lifestyle guidance, and much more. Chinese practitioners also use the elements to represent these patterns, beginning with yin and yang, which I'm sure many of you have heard of. But what you may not be familiar with is that it starts with these concepts, which are similar to body typing, but then it branches out from there, that there are many aspects of yin and yang. And from there, the types branch into earth, fire, water, wood, and metal. And it's really a highly enlightening and dynamic system, but a very challenging one to grasp with the Western mind. So my teaching is a really good introduction to this ancient and complex system. You know, we think of metal, you know, we all know what that is, but to identify the characteristics can be more challenging, which is why I like to keep it simple with the 4 elements. Then we also have Ayurvedic medicine. Similarly, Ayurvedic medicine is a form of medicine practiced in India and now more widely throughout the world. It includes many of the aspects of traditional Chinese medicine, although in its own very unique way. Ayurveda traditionally includes even some surgery. So if it sounds like some of these are very primitive forms of medicine, they're actually really quite advanced. I think we're coming around in our understanding of traditional medicine and how very wise and very knowledgeable these systems are. Ayurveda is also a complex system of understanding how the elements and other principles like moisture or timing, for example, or density, how they interact. Their system of body typing is called the doshas, as D-O-S-H-A-S, of which there are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, which are all a combination of the elements. Again, for the simplicity, first of all, of language, and therefore overall understanding, I use the 4 elements. Then we have the Greek humors, which we're traveling a little bit more into the European region, obviously Southern Europe. The ancient Greeks used body typing as the 4 elements, also called the humors, and that's spelled H-U-M-O-U-R-S. Again, this system of thinking seemed to pop up around the same time as the Indians and the Chinese, which I find fascinating. This system is very different and unique, using colors and types of bodily fluids like blood, bile, and phlegm to identify patterns. But there are remarkable similarities to the other ancient systems. So what's really fascinating is each one of these cultures has a very different way of using these concepts, but really kind of developed it in its own way. So there's really key similarities and really stark differences, again, which is so fascinating. And I just think it shows the brilliance of it all too. And then fourthly, I mentioned Native American medicine wheel. The last ancient correlation I'll mention are the Native Americans' medicine wheel, the 4-direction correlating colors, seasons, times of life, etc. Again, there are amazing similarities using simple concepts to understand the complex things in life. And even there, we see some correlations with the colors, the 4-direction colors of the Native Americans to even the Greek humors. Not all the same, but very similar, even with the especially the black, red, and yellow colors. So bringing it together, I teach body typing as a way to simplify our understanding of our bodies, minds, emotions, relationships, and life situations. In a life that is so full of complexity, body typing helps us to see beauty and wisdom in simplicity. And if this sounds at all interesting to you, I encourage you to check out more at weightfreewellness.com. I have a body typing quiz in the right sidebar. And that already is a really great introduction and insight into your own body. And then also you can learn more about the foods, exercise, and habits that help each body type feel more balanced in my book, You-niversal Self-care, which you can also find at weightfreewellness.com. And you will find more and more, there are going to be more and more podcasts about body typing. There already are several. You'll find in the archive. Also on the website in the right sidebar, there's an archive and you'll find body typing as one of the archives. You can click on that and you'll find all the podcasts related to body typing, and there will be many more in the future for sure, because the list is endless and how you can use body typing to gain insight into your personal life and overall things that are going on in life as well. So I encourage you to check that out. Thank you for listening to this Weight Free Wellness podcast. This is number 41. Until next time.